Hi, I'm David, digital marketer at Guarda, and today my guest is Pietro Moran, the crypto partnerships manager at the Giving Block. Hi, Pietro.
How you doing, David? Thanks for having me, and thank you for everybody tuning in.
Yeah, welcome. And let's talk about all things crypto donations. And the first question is about cryptocurrencies. So when was the first time you heard about Bitcoin and let's say Ethereum?
So those are going to be two different things because when I first heard
Hmm.
about Bitcoin, Ethereum was still just an idea.
Hmm.
So I got involved in crypto around 2015. I was still in college at the time. A friend of mine had told me that his brother was on Mount Gox, for anybody who remembers what that was. Kind of, you know, infamous exchange blow up
Hmm.
and hack that happened back in the day. And so he was telling me about it and how he was trading Bitcoin there, how he'd lost his money, obviously an unfortunate circumstance. But long story short, I had kind of dug in alongside him. This is my friend Joe from back in college, and kind of just wanted to explore what like a different form of money could look like. I'd studied economics in college, so it was kind of up my alley already. And throughout the years, it turned into a real passion project and hobby. So I had like, $500 to my name back in college.
Hmm.
But, I took some of it and started investing. Then Ethereum became a thing. And that opened a lot more doors in terms of just the programmability of Solidity and the ability for people to do a bunch of different things you couldn't do on Bitcoin. And
Hmm.
so fast forward a few years, I was in grad school, wrote a couple academic things and op-eds on crypto, and then decided to jump into the space as my profession. Decided, school wasn't for me anymore.
Hmm.
And so I had a few jobs here and there, and then decided to get into crypto full time. And prior to the Giving Block, I was at Proof of Talent, which is a crypto focused recruiting firm. Have to give them a plug because they gave me my start in crypto. And
Hmm.
then ended up here as the partnerships manager at the Giving Block, where I help a bunch of companies, organizations, and individuals, maximize their social impact with their crypto.
Perfect. And didn't you work as a mortgage broker at some point?
Yeah, that's actually some pretty good homework that you've done there. One of
I
the
did.
first jobs, kudos to you there.
Thank you.
But one of the first jobs I ever had coming out of school was actually as a mortgage banker for Quicken Loans. They're the largest retail lender in the United States. And it's interesting kind of coming from that environment into crypto,
Hmm.
um, because the workplace is just very different, as you can imagine.
Hmm. So what are some of the biggest differences?
Right. And you could probably, commiserate with this because you work at a crypto company. So like a lot of us take for granted maybe in crypto how like loose and unstructured some things can be, or at least like how much freedom the individual has. This
Hmm.
isn't to say that my previous employer did anything that was like strict, but there's a lot of, structure and formation around how you're supposed to do things that maybe doesn't always allow for the maximum amount of like creative freedom or liberty there,
Hmm.
right? One of the things I love about crypto, especially in my two, sort of opportunities working in the space, has been the remote nature of the work, right? I can
Hmm.
live wherever I want. I used to live in Virginia, I now live in Miami, but that's one component that allows for sort of the lifestyle plus work to
Hmm.
be a little more manageable. The other thing is like, you can think of mortgage banking as a component of traditional finance. It's not really like, investment banking or, sort of suit and tie banking the way you think of it normally, but um, seeing how things were structured from that perspective, like all the underwriting, all the stuff that you need to do working with like closers, like,
Hmm.
closing and brokers and, securing a loan, how to originate a loan. I think it showed me how clunky some of the traditional like financial infrastructure could be when I'm used to like from the time that I was still a teenager in college, like, download a wallet, you have
Hmm.
assets in a wallet and I can send them to anyone at any time. It doesn't matter where they live. That's
Hmm.
like such a different experience than working in a place like that. And like, I think that just motivated me even more to pressure myself to get out of a more traditional work environment and into something like this.
Hmm. Yeah, what you described, yeah, it gives you freedom, right? So you just download a wallet. Guarda wallet is one of the options, and then you just, you send money to anyone, pretty much to anywhere. Yeah, and the giving block. For those of us who are not too familiar with the company, how would you describe the mission and what the company actually does?
Sure. And so the mission of the company generally is to, I think, do two things. It's to make accepting crypto donations as easy as possible and to make crypto donations really synonymous with charitable giving. You know, at this point in time, most nonprofit related charitable gifts are not given in crypto.
Hmm.
But I think we're going to see that change over the coming years as crypto becomes more of the fabric of finance, generally speaking. So, what the Giving Block does is we're a platform that enables now over 1,400 nonprofits to accept donations in over 70 different crypto assets.
Hmm.
I need to give a shout out to our team that just went live with Solana donations today. So, we can now accept Solana,
Hmm.
but we accept Bitcoin, ETH, stable coins, and a bunch of others. So we want to offer like the maximum amount of variety while also making it super easy again for nonprofits to do that. And we're both the payment processor to actually facilitate the donations on the back end, but we're also a crowdfunding site and
Hmm.
platform. So we don't just tell our partner like nonprofits that that they have to raise the crypto all on their own. We teach them the skills like from your like sort of expertise, the marketing components, like how do you speak the language of crypto, right? Like how do you do things like talk to an audience that's mostly like millennial, Gen Z, and
Hmm.
internet savvy, right? Like you don't want to spell Bitcoin as two words. You don't want to like misspell stuff or like
Hmm.
say doggy coin instead of Doge, like all the silly things that we might take for granted help a
Hmm.
lot when it comes to the marketing aspect. So we do, a lot of education. We probably have more conversations about donating crypto than anyone else in the world. And we're trying to get these large institutions, aka nonprofits,
Hmm.
uh, to sort of flex the innovation muscle that maybe they haven't used in a while. A lot of times folks don't think of nonprofits as being like on the cutting edge of anything because it isn't like high level tech. We're letting them leapfrog with a really easy kind of turnkey solution to the forefront of how to finance, generally speaking, right? Crypto I think is the future, and I think anyone listening in probably agrees with that, or at
I
least
do.
thinks it's there you go. It's definitely like gonna be one of the things that we use in our daily lives, I think, already, but even more so as the industry grows. um, for me, where I fit in is a partnerships manager, is to actually work with institutions in the crypto space to maximize their social impact goals.
Hmm.
So that can take so many different shapes. Can look like partnering with a major exchange like FTX, who we've worked with in the past. It can mean working with an individual artist who's trying to sell NFTs and then donate the proceeds of that sale to charity. So we work with any size and scope of company. Wallet providers like Guarda are awesome partners because a lot of people use the applications that you provide. So we're not trying to recreate a whole
Hmm.
like tool set or toolkit for crypto donors. We're just trying to plug into the infrastructure that already exists so that it's like as easy as opening your wallet, like your phone wallet, and just saying,
Hmm.
hey, I can donate to my favorite charity.
Hmm. All right. And how do you, as a company, find and perhaps verify those nonprofit organizations? Because I'm sure some people might be a bit skeptical. Oh, crypto donations. How do I know that this nonprofit is legit? And how do I know? And how can I make sure that the money that I donate, the crypto assets, get to the right, person, and people in need?
Fantastic question. I'm glad you bring that up because it's probably one of the things we talk about the most as an organization when we talk to nonprofits. So we work with registered 501c3s or their equivalent organization, which means that these are all registered charities, whether it's in the United States or globally because we work
Hmm.
internationally. And that, for one, is attributable in terms of how they spend their money. It's all vetted. There's watchdog organizations We vet every nonprofit that comes in. We do a rigorous KYC AML process,
Mhm.
as well as like look for certain key like markers that show that these are reputable folks. And so if in the unfortunate circumstance we don't feel comfortable, we would rather protect the donor rather than
Right.
trying to pay fast and loose with their money. Then from there, we have a layer of security in so far as like we're in crypto, so there's a level of transparency there. Every time you make your donation, it's on chain. So it's
Mhm.
attributable to a transaction ID that you can then search. So you know that the nonprofit's receiving your donation. And I guess third thing to kind of make it a three-legged stool is we actually have, we're a non-custodial solution. So
Mhm.
when you make a donation, the giving block is the back end that helps the nonprofits facilitate the donation and convert it to cash if they need it.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean that we ever hold the money. So there is no trust element involved, right? Like crypto, you think of removing intermediaries or trusted third parties. When you send a donation to a wallet address associated with a nonprofit, it goes directly to something controlled by the nonprofit. And then if they utilize like our system to convert it to cash and then, buy supplies or
Mhm.
resources or help educate people, whatever the great work they do, then that's totally their prerogative. And we never touch the money in the interim.
All right, that's impressive. So those people are skeptical can be sure that if they donate crypto assets using the Giving Block platform, the money will get there. I mean, get to the right person. All right, and what about not just crypto assets but NFTs? How exactly does that work? So you're not actually letting people donate NFTs, right? So could you describe the step-by-step process?
Yeah, there's an important nuance there that I want to make sure we get at. So that's a really important piece to address. What we do, and this is actually advantageous for folks from a tax standpoint too. So we can always dive into this if you want. But when you donate the proceeds from an NFT, so say you sell an NFT, you mint a collection, you're an
Hmm.
artist that wants to help do some good in the world. You can donate, say, the ETH that you raise from that or the Solana or whatever it might be, and donate that directly to a nonprofit that we work with. That's very good in terms of uh, clearing up any headaches that might occur with regards to the tax advantage status of that donation. So for anybody listening in, if you're a United States citizen, and of course this isn't financial advice or anything,
Of course.
but you have the ability to make it or to take a fair value deduction of the assets that you donate. So why is that important, right? Let's go through a particular workflow or an example so people can understand, and
Hmm.
then I'll loop it back into NFTs to answer the question. But let's just say you've invested in Bitcoin since 2017 and you've reaped the rewards of that price appreciation, right? What you then have the opportunity to do is sell that Bitcoin for cash or your local currency, and then pay the capital gains taxes as they might apply in your jurisdiction. What that does is that means, let's just say it's long-term capital gains in the US, roughly speaking, it's going to be around 20%. So
Hmm.
you're 20% less, US dollar value after taxes, and then you can donate your cash. Or if you donate the crypto, so say you donate that Bitcoin, you don't pay capital gains on the Bitcoin that you hold. The nonprofit doesn't pay capital gains as it comes into their donation wallet. And so you're roughly on net 20% more efficient with the donation, and it entitles you as the donor to a tax deduction. So if you're someone that's made some money or wants to think about how to efficiently use crypto for tax planning,
Hmm.
consider a donation as part of that toolkit. Um, and now let's loop it into NFTs because that's what you asked about.
Let's
So
do that.
so NFTs are a tricky one, right? Because they're non-fungible tokens. And I guess if you want to use the analog to art, then it's tough to appraise what the fair value of an NFT is, right? So like I could make an NFT collection of 10 pieces and then sell one to myself in a different wallet for $1,000. Does that mean then that each NFT is worth $10,000? It's a red flag, not a red flag, it's a question mark, I'll say.
Hmm.
And it's something that is still under debate at the various tax agencies that we talk to. Um, So what we recommend is that rather than creating the headache also for the nonprofit, who then would have to go and sell or liquidate that NFT, easier for you to just sell it yourself and then donate the ETH or the other asset, so that A, you get the tax benefit, B, the donation flow is really easy for the nonprofit that maybe doesn't know anything about NFTs. And then the experience is much easier. What I'll share with you actually is that we last year did roughly $13 million in NFT related charitable giving that we processed. And even this week, we actually partnered with Vayner NFT and Stella Artois for all
Did
those
you?
that might.
Vayner.
Oh yeah. So Gary V, if you're familiar with him, yeah, his NFT
Gary V
studio.
himself.
We did a Twitter space with Gary V himself actually on Tuesday. That was a wild one. I definitely encourage you guys to look on our Twitter. There's a recording of it for anybody who wants to listen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what we did there is Stella Artois, the famous beer company that many people might recognize, created an NFT drop with an artist, Elias Stein, and it sold out in one day. But 100% of the proceeds went to water.org, which is a charity partner that works with us. And they help provide clean drinking water to folks all over the planet, which is a super admirable goal. So Stella Artois, they didn't do anything for the money. They did it out of the goodness of their heart and for a great campaign. And honestly, it worked out, super well. When something sells out in one day, it's obviously a huge weight off your shoulders when you don't have to worry about that. So they donated, I think, $180,000, which was really awesome because it fell during a campaign that we're running at the Giving Block called Caring with Crypto, which, and we can talk about this in a little bit, which allowed for them to match the donation 1-to-1. So a total of $360,000 donated roughly.
Wow, that's impressive. So in order for us to talk about the matching program, let's talk about Shift4 first. I think that would be logical, right? So the Giving Block was recently joined Shift4. So could you tell us a bit about, that transition, about that acquisition?
Yeah, absolutely. Shift4 has been a phenomenal partner. And so a couple of weeks ago, you may have read, and you certainly did, David, but
I did.
Some folks may have seen, if you followed the Giving Block, that we were acquired by Shift4. And who they are is a global payments company that does over $250 billion in payments volume per year. They do payments for, many of the big, let's just call them resorts, casinos, sports teams, as well as traditional merchants that you might recognize. So they work with like KFC, San Francisco 49ers, and many, many others that I can't even, start to think off the top of my head. Pebble Beach, for example, for all the golfers in the chat here. And what does that mean for us? It's great to have the resources of a global payments, juggernaut behind you. And more importantly, they've been open to the idea of crypto payments generally and wanting to take crypto donations mainstream. I think that's a huge stamp of approval, from a large public company that wants to see us succeed. They've allowed us to pioneer their crypto innovation center. So our partners and folks that work with us can then potentially, leverage Shift4 as a network to take, global payments potentially in crypto. Who knows where that might lead us? But Jared Isaacman, the CEO and founder of Shift4, pretty impressive guy, I have to tell you. Like,
I was about to say, pardon me, didn't he go to space at one point?
So this guy is next level for sure. He founded the company at 16 years old, Shift4, which is already, light years ahead of what I hope to accomplish at my age. But he then, like you said, is also an astronaut. So he piloted the first all civilian space or trip to space or mission to space. And he's actually going to be going back 3 more times in the future. So, I mean, when an astronaut's behind you, you can literally take crypto to the moon, even though we've been talking about it for
that's a good
years.
one.
But yeah, it's incredibly cool to have someone like that behind us. And he's a very charitable person. He raised almost $250 million for St. Jude's when he did that mission to space as a fundraiser. And so you can think of all the synergies with someone like that who's so socially minded, charitable, wants to give back, and then leveraging all the technology that we have with all the learnings that Shift4 has as a global payments company. So that's something that we're really, really excited about. To go back to the campaign that you brought up so astutely, like we have been doing a campaign over the past couple of weeks called Caring with Crypto, where Jared has put up $10 million of his own money in a matching pool to double donations coming through the platform. So if you make a donation today, there's still funds available to match your donation so you can double your impact. And that's allowed many of our partners to actually, take whatever it is that they were thinking of doing and again, double it. So great time to really activate things. And from a partnerships perspective, when I can do, when I can promise you twice as much, dollars in the door, that's always a good one for me. So I'm happy about it.
That's great. And I do have a question. It's not, crypto related, but if you had an opportunity, would you join the CEO and go to space?
Oof, that's a good one. So I
As a
recently
fundraiser.
I mean, I think I'd have to say yes regardless. But like baby steps, right? I went skydiving for the first time in January.
Did you?
And absolutely loved that. So I imagine going to space is probably a little next level to that. But yeah, I mean, why not? If it is for a good cause, and I mean, how many people get to look back at the Earth and see it that way? I would definitely do it. I'd have to take them up on that.
All right. So
what about? I'll throw it back at you. What would you do?
Oh no, I'm good. No, no skydiving. No, yeah. I can just look at the photos. Yeah, that's fine. Not the guy to. I would love to, but I probably I'll be too stressed. I think. Yeah, too
Yeah,
worried about the safety and all that. But it's not for everyone, I guess. But
fair enough.
it's an amazing story, and I'm glad that the Giving Block has a new chapter, and I'm sure it's going to be even greater now. So more opportunities and more partners that you're going to work with.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have to say it's been incredible since the announcement, just the influx of support from the crypto ecosystem, as well as new folks who kind of see that as like a, I don't want to call it a stamp of approval, but to some extent, showing that if there's faith from a large, public institution like Shift4 in us, it legitimizes our brand in a way that is, accelerated our pace of growth, and that's awesome. And then also, I think makes Shift4 just become a more dynamic and robust offering for other folks, knowing that they're leaning into this, innovative sector in crypto. And so, I'm really excited to see what new partnerships come from that.
And I'm glad I reached out to you before, the acquisition happened, because,
you're an OG.
Yeah, well, thank you. So I work with Guarda Wallet. So what are some of the options that, let's say, we would like our audience to join the movement, right? And what can we offer them in terms of options? So can we just select or ask them to select a number of charities or nonprofit organizations that they would like to donate to, or you can suggest some of the platforms? How does that work?
So there's a lot of different options, and no one partnership is the same as another. So we, I think, pride ourselves in being flexible to work at the pace that you and your audience want to. So we take the approach of like kind of crawl, walk, run. So we can move as fast as you want, but we also understand not everybody might be as socially minded or charitably minded as Guarda, right? So for your audience, I can suggest a few things. The first is that we can do co-marketed, co-branded content to educate folks who might be just kind of dipping their toes in the water, see what that looks like. We have so many of these great relationships with nonprofits that we can also just make an introduction to some of the names that we work with. And so, without giving you a list of 1,500 nonprofits where there might be a little analysis paralysis, right? Like we can kind of thematically talk about, what are the goals that Guarda and your user base have for, charities or nonprofit giving. And we can bucket those into a few things. Like if you want to focus on like the climate, food and water, or even like, education, it could be any number of things. And we can certainly discuss what those nonprofits that might be a good pair are. But then we could even take it another step further. We can run a campaign and do the whole social media blitz, like show everybody that you guys are coming to the space, as a company with some sort of social impact mission statement of accountability, whatever you want to call it, and then kind of get everybody excited about that. That's always a fun one. And then if we want to go from the technical side of things, we also have tools that can help you, track and see kind of the power of the Guarda community. So
Mm-hmm.
it could be as simple as like a donate crypto button that is just a redirect link that you can use to send people our way. And that could be like super, super light lift, all the way up to using our API to integrate so that people can maybe donate natively in their Guarda wallet. That would be probably the most technically advanced portion of this.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we have a flavor of partnership for everyone, and we certainly don't have any expectations. We say whatever is appropriate for you and your audience is the way to go. But like, it's exciting because anyone listening in can now think through maybe what their target is or how they want to approach nonprofit giving.
Awesome. And you did mention the educational content. So basically, you can also educate those new platforms, right? If they're not too familiar with the crypto world, right?
Exactly right. I think we probably do the most education around nonprofit crypto giving in the world. So yeah, we've come up with some pretty great resources for
Mm-hmm.
folks that are charities and nonprofits, right? So we can onboard a nonprofit within typically 5 to 7 business days if they have their paperwork in order, and like kind of, get them up to speed if they think it's the right, decision for them.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have a lot of great resources on our website, for donors and for nonprofits. And then part of what I want to do, and this podcast certainly, is a piece of that puzzle, is talking to and creating content for other audiences so that they can even know this is an option, right? For every 300,000 crypto users, there's a nonprofit that accepts crypto. So it's relatively asymmetric.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really exciting for the charities, right? Because there's so many people out there that are using crypto, but there's also so many people that have crypto invest, use tools like yours that maybe don't even know that this is something they can do, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe something that could save them on their taxes, which, is always top of mind for a lot of folks.
Yeah, that's true. And geography-wise, those nonprofits are all over the world, right? So the people can support, say, a nonprofit in just distant lands, right? So it doesn't have to be in the U.S., right?
Exactly right. So for our nonprofits, they operate globally, and where
Mm-hmm.
they're headquartered is obviously up to them. So
Right.
where we've seen the most market penetration, and there's like bottlenecks that make this make sense, like language barriers and other
Mm-hmm.
things like that. English speaking countries around the world are certainly the forefront. So you have
Mm-hmm.
North America, US, Canada, then you have Europe, UK, Asia Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, certainly a lot more penetration than other geographies. The one thing that I want to note, though, is just because an organization is a US 501c3 doesn't mean it only operates in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So a nonprofit can operate in countries all over the world. We work with some great ones like Save the Children that are all over the place, operating in Ukraine, operating, in many jurisdictions. So you
Mm-hmm.
could find something that is, thinking kind of local
Mm-hmm.
or thinking global, acting local, so to speak, making a donation to an organization that has a chapter in your country where they're sending relief or aid, or helping on some issue that's near and dear to your heart, right? So we have for example, climate focused nonprofits that work here in the US,
Mm-hmm.
but then also other ones who are doing rainforest reforestation projects all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
One really cool one that I'll shout out as a cool case study is orangutan outreach.
I was about to
They
mention
were
that one. Yeah.
All right, I'll let you take it away then. You start
No,
off.
no, no. You're the professional. I was just reading again. I was doing my homework and I saw a piece, describing that one. So please go ahead.
Yeah, so this is super cool because it's like where rubber meets the road. It's the intersection of crypto and charity to show off this really cool case study. Orangutan Outreach is a great client of ours that is helping to save red apes all over the world,
Mhm.
and helping to build sanctuaries for them so that there's no, poaching and other things, making sure that if they're injured, they get medical care, et cetera. Um, Naturally, there is a huge affinity for the ape in the crypto community, right? So when they first put out their, like their tweet saying that, hey, we accept
Oh,
crypto, and then they actually bought a Bored Ape. So the
did
Bored
they?
Ape Yacht Club, yeah, this was back, I think, when it was still relatively economical to do so. But like they decided, hey, let's lean into this branding,
Mhm.
and then took that to the next level where now they're on Twitter. The Bored Ape Yacht Club has recognized what they do and then sent them roughly $1 million in ETH, right?
No way.
For them, that was like a huge windfall and an incredible donation. And I mean, talk about how to make something, make magic happen with crypto where like just audiences really aligned. It's like if you're an ape related PFP project or NFT, like a Bored Ape Yacht Club, like this is the perfect matchup. So what we try to do is find those like marketing synergies for folks to
Mhm.
like, focus on the things that they care about. We don't want to just make you donate. We certainly want to help you find the causes that really make a difference for you because the enthusiasm is always, much
Mhm.
greater. So that was one of the coolest things. That was like right when I started at the company, and I was kind of blown away how people in the crypto world, they care about all these different things, right? And as we all do, right? We just forget that sometimes we're a part of these like big communities that we can call to
Mhm.
action and make a real difference. So I mean, you probably think about it from your angle, like Garda has however many thousands of users, right?
Mhm.
And like that's a big community, right? It's not just 10 people in an office or whatever it
Yeah.
might be somewhere trying to change the world. So I think we forget sometimes how much impact we can have if we just get the gears turning and start just suggesting some ideas. And this was one of the great outcomes that happened for orangutan outreach in the Bored Apes.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's just it's too good. And we talked about the NFTs, right? I know it's probably too early to talk about the metaverse, but what do you think, hypothetically speaking, would it be possible in the near future for people to donate in the metaverse space, or it's just too crazy of an idea? The reason I'm asking because we did I did an AMA with Airborne from European Metaverse, and he talked about different layers that exist in the metaverse. So, what do you think about that transformation per se?
That is really interesting because we have started leaning into sort of Web3 metaverse kind of opportunities.
Hmm.
And I think you're right in hinting at that's kind of the future of where this is all going. I think it'll take some time, but
Hmm.
we're actively pursuing partnerships and have partnerships with folks that are doing incredible work in this regard. So I can think of two off the top of my head that I'd love to talk about. Um, the first is GM.xyz.
Hmm.
This is essentially a decentralized social media platform, very much akin to like a bundle of Reddit and Twitter.
Hmm.
Um, so you have this asynchronous communication network where people log in with an Ethereum wallet and then can earn like reputation points in their various communities. That also allows for a lot of different interesting like coordinations amongst people. So like you can create a Garda wallet
Hmm.
community on GM where you can even gatekeep it to say like if you sign a transaction from your Garda wallet, that's how you get in. So you can say like this is how we know that you're a user. Or if you have an
Hmm.
NFT, you can like prove you have to prove that you have a certain NFT to get into the sort of club, whatever, if you will.
Right.
Not all of the communities are gate kept, but what I think they're doing is showing that traditional social media companies are, let's just say, using the platform is not working for the users as much as the users are working for the platform to generate
Hmm.
ad revenue, et cetera. I think they're flipping the model on its head where they want your interactions to be not necessarily monetizable, but like actionable, for example. So if the Garda wallet group wanted to sell or like monetize and use ads on their page or in their group, it wouldn't be the traditional model of like GM takes 90% or whatever and you keep 10. It would probably be the inverse where
Hmm.
you're community members could earn a portion of the ad revenue for contributing quality content. So it incentivizes them to like, go out and be good members of the community. The moderators could get a piece for actively managing and curating content. And then it makes for like a way better experience than just some algorithm that you don't know, like in the background, right? So that's one that we're definitely working with. And we have a page on there. It's Crypto Philanthropy. So if anybody wants to check us out there, please do. The way that could happen too is we could probably natively integrate with a platform like that, or even run a campaign on GM, because since crypto is so easy, you can use wallet addresses and QR codes to raise money, and then you can track it all on chain, right? So it's verifiable, attributable, and like could be a really fun way to do it. You can even see in people's like profiles on the website, like their NFTs and their POAPs and all that cool stuff. So it lets you like wear your crypto kind of identity on your sleeve in a way you can't really do on Twitter as much. So that's number one. This one I think is going to be more applicable to like the metaverse per se. And I think you'll get a kick out of this one. There's a company called GiveTree, which we've recently partnered with, that's building an entire metaverse world with Unreal Engine. For anybody who knows what that is, it's basically like a gaming engine. It's been used in a lot of like the video games we probably used growing up or played growing up. I don't know if that was built on Unreal. It might have been, actually. Depends what version of it.
Right.
But yeah, the cool thing about that though is we're gonna have like our own block of land in this metaverse. So similar to something like Sandbox or like Decentraland, right? We'll have this like basically piece of digital real estate that'll have like, the Giving Block house or hut or whatever it might be.
Really?
And then, oh yeah. And then we can have our donation widget live directly in like our house. So if anybody wants to stroll by, like make a donation from their phone or from a wallet, they could do that. I think that's super interesting, because people are going to be living on these apps, right? We don't want to pull traffic away from them. We just want to be a native experience. In the same way, like if a Guarda user goes to your website or logs into their app, like we don't want to necessarily redirect them to us, because we want to be like a value-added service to you rather than you sending us traffic, right? Like we want to just be the one facilitating the donations in the background, but people want to use Guarda, right? They don't necessarily want to use the Giving Block as much. So that's kind of the way we approach our partnerships. But coming to a metaverse near you, for sure, we're definitely like thinking about it. And if anyone's listening, like wants to reach out and talk to us about their project, certainly happy to do it.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing these two examples. Yeah, we're definitely going to look into that. So as I'm exploring the metaverse, I can just walk by the Giving Block house, or I don't know, some office, right, and just donate.
Might be a big block.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Pietro, what about some of the upcoming partnerships or conferences or events?
Ooh, that's a good one. A lot of spicy details coming soon, I hope. We're going to be doing a lot of in-person, like IRL outreach this year. So you bring up conferences, which we're going to be at a few. The few that I can think of off the top of my head that I'll certainly be attending is, depending when this goes live, NFT LA. I'll be there, kind of interacting with the NFT folks out on the West Coast. Then the Bitcoin conference here in Miami for Bitcoin 2022. That's a big one. After that, we are going to be at Permissionless, the Blockworks conference. And one of the cool things I'll share with you about that is that recently Blockworks, actually today, so this is a bit of a scoop for you guys. Today, Blockworks actually made an announcement that from the ticket sales of the conference, they'll be donating a portion of revenue to Girls Who Code, which is a nonprofit that's helping to bridge the gap between women and opportunities in the tech space, and helping to educate them and seek out job opportunities, especially in underserved communities. So the founders of Blockworks decided that that was a good partner there. And what we want to do is enable folks like that to make it super easy to donate. So they hit us up and said, what can we do? We paired them up with Girls Who Code. Awesome partnership has happened. And they've announced their first $100,000 donation today. And they have a goal of hitting up to $300,000 donation, or 300,000 worth of donations. The cool thing is, because of this match program we have going on, that $100,000 they donate today is doubled. So Definitely going above and beyond with their social impact. And we just want to show how like it doesn't matter what you're doing in crypto. If you want to make something happen, we can make something fun. And now there's an incentive for people to buy more tickets if they were considering it. You're supporting a good cause as a result. So really pumped about that. We'll be at Consensus as well here in the US in Austin in June. And then TBD for the rest of the year, I'm sure we'll be at Art Basel, at NFT NYC, and a few others. So definitely want to catch any of your users and hopefully your team at any of the conferences here in the States, and then potentially some abroad as well as we kind of go international.
Perfect. Yeah, I hope we meet one day at one of the events. Yeah. And Pietro, the signature question. My colleague Greg, coined this one. So if you had a crypto superpower, what would it be?
It's a great question. And Greg, shout out to Greg for this one, because that's something that I haven't really thought about too much. I think to have a crypto superpower, I mean, I think the obvious ones that come to mind is like knowing what coin's about to moon, right? That would be a nice one. However, I might go a bit different here and say, I would be really keen to know, like, and maybe I'm just too much of a trader here. Like, I would be keen to know, like, what amount of coins are like being used, like for good. You know what I mean? Like we can tell. I'm sort of thinking through this on the fly, so humor me here. There's a couple things. Like the first one would be like to know what amount of like coins are being used for like genuine trading versus like other things, because I'd love to see the split, like if I could break that all down. And if I was a smarter person, like blockchain forensic scientist or whatever, I'd probably figure that out, but I'm not. The other thing is I would love to see kind of the distribution of coins across like individuals if I had that superpower. Like obviously I'd love to know who Satoshi is, but you
don't
probably yeah, right, exactly. Well kept secret or not, it'd be cool to actually verify that one, but maybe it's also cool that we never know. And then I think I'll go with those, but if I could pick a third just to be greedy here, I think it'd be cool to know like what are the coins that are out there actually going to succeed, right? I think many of us who like speculate on these things are really optimistic and bright-eyed about the future. And I've studied the space a little bit to know that not all the coins that are here today are going to be here tomorrow. So over the cycles, it's been an interesting one to watch, like the hot new thing kind of fade into obscurity. I'd love to see what goes the distance and like does genuine good for the world over a long period. I think it's safe to say like Bitcoin and ETH have done that. But the other stuff that's pretty young, would love to see where that goes and where the space grows from here. So, to see into that future would be pretty epic.
That's one of the most original answers I've heard. So yeah, thank you, Pietro. So
Thank
the
you.
giving block.
Well, I gotta ask you the same question. What's your answer, David? I'd love to know.
Crypto superpower. You know what? I would probably. It's hard to say, because I don't know what the future holds, right? So I wouldn't probably. I would somehow create a space in the metaverse. I think, like my own space, if I had an ability to do that. Something similar to a video game, but maybe with even fundraising capabilities. I think that would be pretty cool. So just to again, to bring people together, because I think in this day and age we need that. There's so many bad things happening in the world, so I think maybe the metaverse would somehow heal people in a way, but that's just my answer. But yeah, not the original, but it would be cool to try to do that.
I think that's awesome. That's super admirable. I think you're hitting on something that a lot of our users in common probably agree on, which is the metaverse, Web3, crypto generally feels like an escape from the institutions or organizations that have not, or I guess in some way have failed us in society, right? I think it's one of the few places that you can be genuinely optimistic about a lot of different things simultaneously. And that's why I think a lot of us are here, right? We see technology as a way to promote some social good, and it doesn't have to be just nonprofit donations. It could be things like, you know, getting people together that may not live in the same jurisdiction, or like, you know, with COVID and everything, right? How did people interact with one another? We all did Zoom for a long time, but, you know, take that to the next level. So yeah, I think to some extent, that's probably like the most admirable thing you could hope for, right? Because it's just, you know, kind of maintaining some semblance of the human experience, even though you're online. And I would definitely hang out in that metaverse. So I'll see you there.
Perfect. One day, right? Okay.
Definitely.
Well, again, the Giving Block is the platform if you're looking to donate crypto, and Pietro is your crypto partnerships manager. So I'll make sure to add your contact information. So do you mind if I add your LinkedIn and Twitter pages?
Oh, please, that'd be great.
All right, Pietro, thank you so much. I hope to collaborate soon. And yeah, let's figure something out, and let's bring more crypto donation options to our audiences.
That sounds great, David. Thanks for having me. And thank you to everybody who's listening in. Big fan of Guarda and their team. And, you know, look forward to meeting the rest of you guys sometime soon.
Absolutely. Let's do that. See you next time.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.